Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Improv.xyz. On today's episode, we have an improv duo all the way from Minneapolis. Madhu and Kya together form this group called Bollyprov. As the name suggests, they primarily perform long-form Bollywood-style improv. I had a wonderful time talking to them, and I hope you enjoy it too.
So I'll be sort of moving this around.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is just a poor man's preparation. So let's get on with it. So great, Madhu. I mean, we're meeting again after a year, and the first time we met, I think it was in one of our shows itself.
Correct.
The improvised tales, I guess.
Right, that's true. I was looking up at Improv in Bangalore, and I saw that you guys were doing long form improv.
Yeah.
Previously, when I made a visit to Bangalore, I'd seen that there was some short form improv by a group called the Improv. So I'd spoken with them, but then I saw that you guys were doing long form. That was super exciting.
Yeah.
And I was glad that I could catch up with you all when I came in last year.
Nice. So Kya, this is your first trip to India?
Yes, first trip ever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you have been part of Bollyprov ever since its conception.
Yes.
All right. So you tell me how challenging is it for you to sort of because Bollywood again it's definitely nothing that you're used to.
Yeah.
And then getting acclimatized to certain ways of going about the whole drama and the action and everything and the beats and all of them together. So how is it? How has it been for you? How tough is it or how easy is it?
It's really fun. I already had, before we started Bollyprov, I already had the background of being with the Bollywood group, and ever since I was in college, I had started watching Bollywood movies and enjoyed, the drama and the cheesiness. So I had that already idea of knowing the fun part, and sometimes it's like when you want to go so cheesy and so dramatic, you almost feel silly, like I wouldn't do this in real life, but then it's like, it's Bollywood, anything can happen. And then sometimes it's almost similar to the soap operas that I remember my mom watching, where they have those dramatic poses and all the family drama and all that. So that was a little bit of a helpful background too, of getting that idea of the drama. But it's a lot of fun. It's just letting it go that extra mile and knowing it's all part of it. It's fun.
Nice. So y'all have been doing this for how many years? And let's just talk about the format. How did you come across this idea?
So I'll tell my journey through improv. So I started with doing short form improv, taking classes for short form improv, and then developed an interest to long form. Took a few classes in Minneapolis in couple different places, Brave New Workshop and Huge Theater. And then I was doing long form improv groups, quite a few groups. And Kya expressed interest in improv after she watched a few improv shows. She had expressed interest, and I was offering a giveaway workshop, and Kya wanted to take that. And after she took the workshop, she was like, I really want more of improv. So she took the classes, and we came up with an idea of, so both of us were part of this non-profit called Bollywood Dance Scene. We do art, community-based art, wherein we enlarge the community, we enhance the community through art. And in that way, we thought improv is a great addition to what we do. And since Kya was already interested in improv, we came up with the concept of how to integrate something. This is something that's very new in US especially. I don't think there's any group that integrates Bollywood and improv together. How to integrate the cheesiness, the ridiculousness, the over dramatic genre of Bollywood with that of improv, and try to do a narrative based off of that. So that's been the journey so far. We have been doing it for about a little more than 3 years now, I think so. Yeah, a little more than a little more than 2 years, I think.
More than 2 years.
Yeah, November 2016 was when we started. So yeah, it's been a little more than 2 years now doing Bollyprov.
Yeah.
And it's always been the two of you?
It's always been the two of us. Improv again is in Minneapolis, as far as I know, I'm kind of the only brown guy who does improv. So improv is still catching up in the Indian community over there too. There are plenty of stand-up comedians over there who are of Indian origin, but improvisers, not many. We want to expand to make it into a larger group as well, getting more South Asians to do improv. Yeah, that's the long-term goal.
Okay, firstly, my apologies, I've been pronouncing your name wrong.
It's okay.
So Kya, let's get on with your impression. How did you go about it? How did you come to know about it?
It was through it was actually a fundraiser that we had for one of the Bollywood dancing full drama shows that we had going on that same year, and one of the options if you donated was a improv workshop, and I was always interested in acting and improv, but was a little bit shy like all throughout school and whatnot, but I figured if I'm dancing and all this, I can at least try. And so then it just really sparked from there, and I was like, okay, what are the local places? And everyone suggested a place in Minneapolis called Huge Improv Theater, and that's like an amazing, really like conducive, helpful, supportive place to learn. And ever since then, I've just been hooked, and it's been so much fun. It was a little bit scary at first, but I feel like it's helped me in improv, but also outside in the real world in so many ways. It's just such an awesome, like, art that helps you more than you think.
Yeah. And so when you go about your long form, I'm assuming it'll be a story, and
Right.
It'll have. Does it have like a proper 3-act structure, and then you're
we don't try to do a Harold sort of 3-act structure. We have experimented with different things over the past 2.5 years. We started off with just a montage of scenes. We did not do a narrative initially to begin with. We were like montage of different scenes, sometimes having a link, sometimes not. And then we moved on to a narrative. And in the narrative, we also have something called an Armando style improv, where we are taking an inspiration from a story and we are doing it. We typically try to make it an end-to-end story with a climax in the end, tying all the loose ends. But it's improv, so sometimes some of the things might not make sense.
You get extra stories that are combined in there, like more ones that you probably thought that you would get initially. But before that too, we had tried like a piece of narrative in it, where we would have the beginning scene be continued in the second part, where we would try to tie it together slowly and then continue to morph into narrative. So it was like dipping your toe in the water of narrative and then going full in.
So even now we have a coach there, and we are like looking at enhancing the format, making it different each time. We are trying to dip our toes in, as Kya told, into different things and seeing what would work best for us as a group. So we have seen Armando to work really well so far. We did a show in the Minnesota Fringe Festival this year, wherein we had different storytellers come and tell a story, their personal stories of immigration, assimilation, personal stories of them coming to the United States. And we did Bollyprov, an improvised version based or loosely inspired from that story. So that was it was nerve-wracking because we had to remember the different aspects of the story to bring it back in, but it was also very fun to do.
Yeah, I can imagine, because how do you go about it? Because these stories are, they are extremely personal, right. And some of these stories are not going to be
comedic.
Exactly. And then you need to use bits and pieces of the story, or sometimes a lot of it, to make something as dramatic as yours as the Bollyprov. So how tricky is it? How do you go about it?
So one thing we had a coach, and then what she suggested was, do not try to mimic the story. The audience does not ever want to see the same story being told again.
And they'll just know if you're doing something wrong, because then they'll say, we just heard that story, that's not right. You have that, they have all the information to know that you're not reenacting what was actually told.
Yeah, so we kind of try to pull only themes or elements from the story. Like, for example, one of the stories that I remember was about a girl who came to the United States, fell in love with this guy, and then she was always the good girl back at home, and she had a sibling, and the sibling was always the
The
wild child. Yeah, exactly, right? And then how her parents came out to like accept her being this way. So yeah, we had fun playing that. We had in our set, it was a completely different sibling story.
Yeah.
But then one being the good kid, the other being the bad one, and then they're switching over. Like the good becomes like really bad, that hurts the parents, and finally the parents accepting it. So we took themes out of it, but did like our own take of the story.
And it still seems to it's satisfying for the audience still, because they recognize that concept, and they're like, oh, I see where they got that inspiration from, and it's kind of that happy connection from the story, but you're still giving them something new to watch.
Yeah. Very interesting thing that you mentioned right now is that you all also derived the theme of it.
Yeah.
And that is so important because what people tend to do now that we are starting to the scene in India rather is now growing. Longer narratives are now explored. When we go on stage and then suppose there is a monologue and then we have to derive something from it. People sometimes go for a word or a statement,
correct,
or something that can be broken into 1,000 pieces and then take one of them and then start a scene. But it's so important to sometimes even take the theme of it, and people immediately realize that this is what you've done, and that sort of plays that, and that's so important because it sort of plays with your intelligence as well.
Correct.
And they also realize that this is what you've done with it.
Yeah, true, very true. Yeah, we have seen that because we do Armando. We have been doing Armando for the last 6-7 months continuously. We have seen that the audience is able to immediately grasp when we take out elements from the story, the themes from the story. So the audience is, and we always learn in improv, the audience is very intelligent. Never question the audience intelligence. They quickly catch on to it, and we have fun playing that too.
And then we do throw in the little bits of like the little jokes or something here and there where it is the word or something that somebody said, and that's like kind of just the fun little like garnishes on it. But having the theme as the ground for it is way more helpful too, because then it's easier to play that, I feel, than just a joke, a simple joke that you have to play. You don't have anywhere to go with that, but if you have a theme, you can find your motive for your character too, and then you can find their story within that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what has been the most funnest experience, for you when you've done Bollyprov, or do you remember a small incident that took place, or something that is memorable about one such performance?
I think we were just telling some friends about this one too. I just love when somehow it works together. So we have another person who was a part of Bollyprov who was extremely important in it as well, where they do our music and our tech. And so in a way, she's still improvising with us, where she's listening and paying attention to the story, and then she knows both of us really. I mean, that's his wife, Divya. So we all know each other really well and can kind of, your mind works really well when you all are good friends too. And there was one scene, I think I was a shop worker or something like at a local store, and Madhu's character came in, and I had imagined that I had a radio dial up on the wall, and Divya started playing some music, and my character maybe was doing something kind of suspicious or just not devious, but still a little bit curious, and I imagined turning down the volume, and the song that she was playing, I don't know the name of it, but the lyrics had something to do with some mischief happening or something, and I was like, what's going on? And then as soon as I turned my imaginary dial, she turned off the music, and it's just and our friends were just laughing hysterically who knew the song.
Golmaal hai by sab golmaal. So she had there were many times, even I think there was one set wherein there was some, so the song that started playing was Sandesh Se Aate Hain, and she started giving a letter out, and the audience, the Indian audience especially, completely lost it because she has no idea about the lyrics, and the moment that it gels well, it's fun.
Those ones with the language, whenever it gels like that, I am so happy. It's incredible.
Great. Now we'll be segueing into another topic that I want to ask, was about having a technician on board who's also, well versed with improv, knows understands the beats, understand when to play with the lights and when to sort of lower the volume and all those things. How important it is, because definitely now, like you mentioned, Divya is the third improviser, and even though she's not on stage, she's contributing so much in getting the beats right, getting the mood right, lifting the drama and all those. So how does that work? How is she training? Is she?
Yeah, sure. She's So she has some improv training as well, and we have seen a lot of improv together, and she's a part of our rehearsal quite a few times. So we rehearse at my place most of the time, and she's my wife, so she's there all the time. So that helps a lot. So she sees our improv training, she sees the rehearsals that we are in, and she's able to contribute off stage to what we are doing on stage really well. And I think it is extremely important for the tech to be on board with what you have and your idea and what you want to achieve out of the show. If the tech is on board, it makes it much smoother.
And I asked this question because once Nasir and I, we were doing a duo show, and we wanted somebody on lights because and then we asked one of our junior performers to come and do the lights for us. Now he was really new. He didn't have that much experience in improv and stuff like that. So our scenes were ending abruptly, and the audience was like, "Oh, what just happened?" And both of us were looking at each other, and we were trying to make sense of what just happened. So there were times when we had to call him out again and switch the lights off. Let's finish this. Midway the lights are off, and then that puts you in an awkward situation. But definitely, having a technician on board who is also sound with the idea of improv, and like you mentioned, your idea of improv,
how we want it to flow.
Exactly.
It's extremely helpful. And Huge Theatre, where we perform many a time, they have their own light technicians, and they are all very good with what light, and they also have VFX, like sound effects that are there on the board. They are extremely good with what they do. So it's fun to improvise with them.
I remember. I mean, we in 2017 we were in Chicago for the performance, and then we were called by Second City to do a small set, and it was one of their smaller stages, and we were performing with the newbies. But the lights were absolutely brilliant. They knew when to dim it. They knew when to just keep it at full blow, and it was just perfect. They knew the beats. And that makes it so important.
That's true.
That's why I feel like at Huge Theatre, there's a few of the board members. They all do improv there too, and are super active in shows. And one guy in particular, he just senses it. Even if you don't know him that well, he's so amazing. He'll predict what's about to happen and be ready for it. Like any type of glass shattering or whatever random thing, he's got it.
Super. So now you, like you mentioned, you're the only brown person who's doing it. What do you think is limiting other brown people to even start out?
So I think it's the lack of the idea of improv. So we just before we came over to India, I think sometime in November, we did a show with, we opened for two stand-up comedians who had come over to Minneapolis, Kunal Kamra and Rahul. And so the crowd that had come, so typically Kunal at least does primarily Hindi comedy, Hindi stand-up, right? So the crowd was completely Indian. There was not any white person in the crowd. So this was a crowd that had come to see a stand-up show, and they were unaware of improv. And so we try to start off in such scenarios. We try to start off with explaining what improv is, then setting the mood, and then starting off. We did a little bit of, even though it was long form, we took audience suggestions as dialogues, and we used to pick up that, and it's a short form game, blind lines game. But then we did that in a long form set just to make it more interactive with the audience, right? But still, even after the entire set was done, some of them were like, "Oh yeah, that was really cool. How long did you rehearse? Did you have the plot in mind?" And we're like, no, this is improvised. Everything is on the spot. And they're like, what do you mean? We explained it to you, it's improvised. And they're like, oh, really? So the concept of, in South Asians especially, I think since it is so new and it's not mainstream yet, I mean, it's not mainstream in India, and you know that. Yeah. So, it's still stand-up comedy is gaining its roots right now, like in the past 5-10 years. So for improv to get there, because I see a lot of them doing many other art forms, we have really struggled. So we strive really hard to reach out to the South Asian community. We have done like multiple workshops, asking South Asians to come and be a part of the workshop, get a flavor of improv, and given them resources where they can learn more improv. But still, there is some sort of apprehension that is there to get into improv.
Yeah. And talking about your performance at the stand-up gig, how was it? Was it tough? I mean, like you mentioned, initially you had to explain the audience that this is an unscripted show right now, and then you get into another scripted show. But this, we always have this problem. And we've always first told the audience that this is what it's going to be. But then, we are always sort of considered as stand-up comedians.
That's true.
Yeah. People go back home and then they'll say that, oh, we watched a great show by these stand-up comedians. It just was an improv show. But so how was the reception? Did you see a difference in the way it was received by the audience when Kunal and Rahul were on stage, and then when you all were on stage? How was it?
Yeah, I felt it for the audience in the beginning, especially. I think all of the people who have seen our shows or our friends were a little bit further up in the back too, where it might have helped if they were a little more upfront as well and letting the people know it's okay to laugh. It almost felt like maybe it took a little warming up. I don't know how you felt, but that's kind of how I felt. They just had to watch a little bit and then know it's okay to laugh, it's all for fun. That one felt a little bit like a tougher crowd just because it felt like we were trying to reach a new crowd that hadn't seen improv. So I was a little bit more worried, like, okay, I want to show them something great so they're excited to come back and watch more.
Yes. I exactly understand. I empathize with what you said because what really worked for us at the Bangalore Improv Festival was it was a major success. It went off really well, and what really worked was the community. They had taken up the place, the entire area. We had 2-3 rows full of improv comedians. So the first time ever, a performer comes on stage and they ask, how many of you all don't know what improv is, and no hands are up. That was such a good sign, for us. And you should see, because we had groups come from Gujarat and they were they've been learning from our videos and stuff like that. And it's for the first time that they have been interacting with a bigger or a larger improv community, and they went on stage and they were killing it with their personalities and not with the technique.
Right.
So, but everybody had their bags. They were like, go on, you're doing great. And the audience who were not performers, they sort of got a hang of what improv is, or
that's really good.
How it is also funny to accept failure on stage, and it takes a lot of courage to do all of that. Because at the end of it all, we gave them a standing ovation, just because of the effort. And
true.
Exactly, and I know what you mean. You said that you wanted some people over the front showing the others that this is also funny if you see it in a different way. Cannot be a very crisp and a conditioned performance. It can't be alive. Great. And what is that one thing that you've kept very dear to yourself? That you've been you've been learning improv, doing improv for more than 3 years now, I guess.
I have been doing it for about 7 years.
7 years.
Mine has been more than that.
Bollyprov has been for
about 3 years.
2.5 years.
Mine was just a little before Bollyprov.
Yeah. So what is that one thing that one learning that you held really close to you with regards to improv?
So I think for me it's okay to fail and celebrate your failures on stage, right? Like we have always tried to in any other performances. If you do fail on stage, you're kind of like it's nerve-wracking and like you feel that you're done, you're screwed up. But in improv, the screw up can be a success if it's celebrated. Like there might be sometimes you tell the wrong thing because your brain freezes and you say something else, but then you can make that into a game wherein your character is telling the wrong thing all the time.
Yeah.
So it's the fact that it's okay to fail and do not ever hesitate to experiment. I think this is the sort of theater wherein it's very liberating. It is, you can do whatever you want, right? Like it's improv, you can play any character you want and however you want it to be. So it's a very liberating thing. So do not be afraid of failure and do not be afraid to experiment. Those are probably two things.
Kind of off of failure, the thing that I love the most is in a troupe, you have so much support. So like, even if you do fail, the amazing thing is when you have that troupe or group that you're with is that they're there to, fail or enhance it with you, whatever it is, you're all along for the ride together and they're going to celebrate that failure or, in whatever way with you. I just think that that's such an amazing thing. Like now I have, like working with Madhu and then I have another improv troupe of friends that we've gone through classes together and had so much fun and connected that we formed our own troupe. It's just like in both groups, now I have almost no fear of failure because you know that you have that person with you that's gonna be there beside you no matter what. Like it's just an amazing thing to have that feeling of like another family in a way of like we're gonna love you no matter what. It's we're gonna do this with you.
Yeah, precisely. So that's what there is a budding improv scene here now in Bombay where you have improvisers from different groups having these jam sessions. And they, so for example, if there are these people are new, if some of them have just started learning, then they do short form games. And for people who've been doing it for quite some time, they try longer forms. And you should see how, it's like a huge family. Like I said, even just the vibes that we had at the festival, exactly that. Like you mentioned, that when there is a troupe, you feel that everybody has your back.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So, but when there are just two people on stage, you feel lonely.
So he has to have my back no matter what. There's no one else.
So Bollyprov was the first time I did a duo. I had done like multiple other groups before Bollyprov, all larger groups, 5-6 people. Some of them even like 9-10 people groups. Bollyprov was the first time, and I was very hesitant or like I was kind of scared because and Kya was very new to improv when we started Bollyprov. Kya was just taking I think 201 classes, so she had probably taken like one session, that's about it. And we were if you don't come up with something, there's no back line, right? Like in improv there is the back line that is supposed to jump in and help you out. But here there is no back line. And
there's no break in between.
There's no break in between to like catch your breath and think about it. But then it was not hard at all because you have that extra pressure of you being the only person or you two being the only people on stage. Your mind automatically like gets into that mode and you're able to generate more. And we find it to be really sometimes we do have slow scenes, but most of the times we try to like have fast-paced scenes. Have it rushed through, and it's fun doing that.
Wow.
So the improv scene in Minneapolis is extremely vibrant. They have multiple improv theaters, but still there is no sense of like competition amongst them. But it's still so people who are in one theater perform with the other theater, and they cross promote. It's a very inclusive and very celebrated community.
Bollywood stories are sometimes very stereotypical.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of cringeworthy moments, and sadly, just a lot of gender stereotypes as well. True. And how do you sort of try and break that, or maybe if you play with the same notion of the stereotypical idea of gender roles and responsibilities. How do you sort of comment on it as well?
I feel, for me, we try to always include as many, of the tropes or typical things, but one important thing that I feel one of my teachers had told me about was no matter what character you're playing, high status, low status, the best thing to do is to play them to the height of their intelligence or, the most genuine that you can. It's never my intention to make fun of the character, but to play them still true, with a good heart, or even if it's an evil character, you don't play them evil, but not to make fun of them, but to still represent them in a good light. Even if it's somebody who maybe doesn't have the most elaborate job or something, they might be a janitor or something. Still, that doesn't mean they have to be, somebody who's not intelligent or doesn't know about anything. They can still be a janitor who has had so many life experiences, has so much knowledge, that's always trying to show a different perspective on what people might have assumptions about and maybe show them that, there's other sides to it as well.
And speaking more on the gender stereotype and how we want to play that on stage and make it comical so that it can be impactful to the audience to understand what we are trying to convey. We always have the ground rules on what we are comfortable playing on stage. Plus, added on to that, we want to normalize a lot of things. Like, say, we have had so many same gender relationships that we try to portray, and not make it comical that the relationship is comical, right? The relationship is true. The characters can be comical or the characters can be funny, but then the relationship is true and heartfelt. And we definitely do avoid any sort of showcasing a gender stereotype and celebrating it. We have no issues playing cross-gender characters. So I might be a lady, she might be a guy. So we have no issues showing that. Trying to break that part of it.
Super. I think we are done.
Awesome. It was fun chatting with you.
It was absolutely. All the best for the show.
Thank you.
Really.